chopping my first tree. Once I collected some wood, I immediately constructed a crafting table where I made myself a wooden sword and a pickaxe. I then proceeded to dig out of the ground below me and collected some cobblestone to upgrade my tools and throw away the wooden tools that I barely used. After crafting a stone variant of all the necessary tools, I then proceeded to walk through the forest biome and crossed a small little river before entering a flatlands biome, which I would then claim as my home. Instead of waiting until the last possible minute, I collected some wool from a sheep I noticed over a hill and crafted myself a bed to sleep through the night, as I did not want to have to fight any mobs if I didn't have to. I then placed down a crafting table, constructed a furnace, and with the wood I had, I began to build a tiny little shack to survive my night in. The house wasn't perfect, but it's all I needed to survive a couple days in until I gathered enough resources to construct a better looking home. The sun had finally vanished over the hills, and I instantly went to bed, successfully surviving my first day in hardcore Minecraft. On day 2, I gave myself the task of chopping down as much wood as I possibly could, as it will be necessary in crafting as well as expanding the house when the time finally came. I then wanted to explore the area while the sun was still up and proceeded to run through the flatlands until I stumbled across a village that was literally across from my house. After entering the village, I had noticed there was an awful lot of hay bales, which I robbed the villagers of. I then strolled through the village collecting as much resources as there was, emeralds, nice, and then returned back home, where I began to clear out some grass and created some wooden fences so I could pin in 2 of each animal so I can have one day an endless supply of meats. I first gathered up some cows and lured them into their new temporary home outside my house. I then adventured further northeast and stumbled across a much larger village. I noticed a massive cave next to the village and spotted some dripstone, which I could use to create a lava fuel source. I spent the rest of the remaining sunlight to collect carrots and beetroots for the village's farm and lucked out finding some potatoes inside of a chest. I took a closer look at that large cavern and spotted some zombies, a creeper, and decided I would come back when I was a little more protected to gather all the resources inside. I then proceeded to kick a villager out of their bed and went to sleep. On day 3, on the way home, I ran through the flatlands, going on an absolute murder spree, killing anything that moved, collecting a ton of food to keep my stomach happy. Utilizing the carrots I collected from the village, I lured in a group of pigs and confined them next to the cows so they would have some company. I then ventured into a small cave near my house in search of some iron and almost had this video come to an embarrassing end when this happened. Oh my god, yes. Oh no. Nope. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, it was on half a heart. After narrowly escaping death and having this video come to a complete embarrassing end, I went back home and crafted myself a shield, as now I'll feel a little bit more comfortable having a little bit of protection on me. Protection is important. I then entered a new cave in desperate need of iron, and on the map I noticed an abandoned mine shaft was literally ahead of me. I dug a pathway through some stone and found myself inside. I illuminated the area around me, blocking off all the entrances and collecting as much iron as I could. I repeated this process each time I discovered iron to prevent any surprises from sneaking up on me while I was collecting it. I threw some iron ore into the furnace and proceeded to collect more iron, coal, tracks, also fought a couple zombies, a skeleton, and finally was able to construct iron armor and a full set of tools. After a successful mining trip, I made my way back up to the surface to a dark, rainy night and went to sleep safely in my bed. The following day, I used the cobblestone that I had to place an outline around where I would want to start my wheat farm. I envisioned a various stone wall design, planned to incorporate slabs, cobbled walls, lanterns to add some texture. Additionally, I began constructing a larger home around my little shack, as we would soon be gathering a significant amount of resources and I would need a larger home. Chopped down a considerable amount of wood and the sun began to set over the hills. With the amount of light I had left, I placed a few more blocks down on our new house and decided to continue on the next day. On day 6, I started planting oak saplings, ensuring we could grow our own trees to avoid crossing the river for wood every single time in the future. I then focused on completing the walls around the house with the wood that I had gathered the day before. While working, though, I stumbled across a hole next to my house filled with coal, which led me to explore and discover a larger cavern beneath my home. I lit up the area with torches and also battled a skeleton and began mining cobblestone to extend our farm walls. When I returned back up to the surface, I realized it was nighttime, so I went to bed, ready to tackle more tasks in the following day. After waking up, I started expanding my wheat farm by adding some dirt to enlarge the land. I then laid some cobblestone to complete the walls for the farm, and I must say, I think it started to look really good. Next, I gathered a lot of dirt to fill in the interior around the farm for a better looking appearance. Just as I finished, rain began to pour, prompting me to quickly wrap up the day, as it would be nighttime very soon. I crafted some iron buckets and headed down to the nearby river, filled both buckets up with water, and rushed back to my house where I made an unlimited water source. I returned inside to sleep to continue my work on day 8. When I woke up, with a water bucket in hand, I started by digging a hole and filled it up with water, preparing the land for my crops. Each water placement would grow crops in a 4-block radius, so I began planting all the seeds I had, and when I ran out, I ran around my house breaking grass and gathered more seeds for the farm. Next, I dug up some dirt beside my wheat farm and chopped down some trees I had planted a few days ago, as they were now obstructing my farming area. I filled in the space with dirt, but as the sun began to set behind the hills, I decided to head back home to avoid any monster attacks. So I quickly ran inside and went to bed, ready for the next day. On day 9, I resumed filling the area with dirt to continue shaping the layout for our potato farm. I built the cobblestone wall inspired by the one surrounding our wheat farm, but altered its dimensions as I didn't want it to look exactly like the wheat farm. I believe in avoiding identical designs in all of my builds, as it tends to make everything look bad, but that's just my opinion. Each of my farms will be positioned at different block heights to improve the look of the farm, since having them all on the same level just would not look visually appealing. As the sun began to set, I dug a hole and filled it up with water and planted our first few potatoes in their farm. The following day, I began to carve out the pathway that I envisioned, which would wind from the house through in between the farms and would eventually wrap back around the front of the house. For now, I used my iron shovel to create a basic trail, with plans to enhance it later using various blocks for more of a natural look. I realized that the cows and the pig pens obstructed my path, so I constructed new fences and placed them on the other side of the house, successfully luring the cows and then the pigs to their new homes before dismantling their old ones. This allowed me to continue leveling the ground for my pathway. After making some progress, I turned to the cobblestone to outline the carrot farm on the opposite side of the wheat field, carefully placing a lone carrot next to a water source, which I hope will eventually flourish into hundreds more. On day 11, I decided to utilize the bone meal stored in my chest to accelerate the growth of the carrots, while also expanding the area so eventually we'll have unlimited carrots. I took down the small shack that had been situated within my larger home, as it was no longer necessary. After crafting a bigger chest, I then transferred all my resources over to the new chest, removing everything that was in the center of my house. I then used oak planks to build the ceiling, ensuring that no surprises would ever catch me off guard during the night, and that no rain would pour on me and make me cold. I then placed some torches around to light up the area to make sure that nothing would then spawn and try and kill me. With more bone meal in hand, I rushed back to the carrot farm to further expand it, spreading the carrots out to maximize food supply. Curiously, I wanted to explore a new cave that I saw near my house, hoping to find some iron, but instead I stumbled across a skeleton that met its end at the hands of a creeper. Before leaving the cave, though, I did gather some coal and hurried back home and rested for the night. On day 12, I smelted some iron I had gathered and journeyed across the flatlands to that large cave near the larger village that I visited earlier, aiming to gather some more resources that I possibly could find. I illuminated the area with torches, collecting resources and battling mobs until I noticed something glimmering in the distance. I gathered the diamonds and even discovered more around the cave, and also collected additional iron ore and some more coal. I filled up some iron buckets with some lava, gathered some dripstone that was in the area, and realized I had spent an entire day down in that cave. After traveling all the way back home, I started constructing a small blacksmith area on the side of my house for all my future smelting and tool making needs. The following day, with the iron that I gathered, I forged a couple cauldrons and constructed myself a lava source generator in my blacksmith area, ensuring a continuous supply of fuel for smelting. I seized the opportunity to tend to my wheat farm, expanding it even further, and then enjoyed watching the beautiful sunset over the hills. On day 15, I had ventured out to the forest and chopped as many trees as I could, replanting the oak sapling that dropped, and began building a wooden checkered pattern for the floor of my house. I then shaved the logs and added some planks to give my floor some texture, and then I walked over to my wheat farm, expanding it even further, and adventuring out into the wilderness, and stumbled across a brand new village. And then I stripped them of all their resources like bookshelves and lanterns. As the sun rose, I wandered through the village, gathering additional resources before leaving. On my way home, though, I picked up some sugarcane growing by the river and noticed a ruined nether portal. So I gathered the resources within the chest, and once I returned home, I planted more carrots and potatoes in the farms and further expanded the wheat farm before retiring for the day. On day 17, I decided to use some bone meal in our chest to accelerate the growth of the potato farm, as they were proving to be quite stubborn. Unlike the potatoes, though, the carrots were just thriving, so I took the opportunity to expand their area and continue developing the layout for the rest of the farm. I also checked on the wheat crops, enhancing their growth as well, and with my shovel in hand, I started digging out some soil for the future beetroot seeds and used the dirt I gathered to complete the carrot farm before settling for a good night's rest. On day 18, I began to really dislike the look of my house and took the entire day taking down the blacksmith area, the lava source, and the entire house, leaving nothing left. The day after tearing down the entire house, I filled in the floor area with dirt to create a clean slate. I then started laying the foundations and increasing the size of the land for a new, larger house to be built upon. On day 20, I found myself short of stone for the new blacksmith area, so I ventured underground to gather as much as I could. After mining some cobblestone, I placed it into the furnace to smelt it back into stone and proceeded to lay down the floor and construct the walls for my brand new home. The following day, I started constructing the floor of our new home, creating new chests to store all of our resources in, and don't worry, we're going to sort all of that eventually, don't worry. I then focused on raising the heights of our walls, but once I was depleted of wood, I ran back into the forest to gather as much logs as possible, replanting the saplings I had collected to expand our forest even further. On day 22, I completed the top layer of our first floor of our house using oak logs. I then ventured back into the forest to plant some saplings and gather additional wood for our house. As I made my way home, I decided to dig up some sand, ensuring that we would have windows ready when the time came. And with the leftover stone, I finished the flooring in the blacksmith area of the house and also built a ceiling for the first floor using oak planks, which will also serve as a floor for the second level. As soon as the sun rose, I crafted some oak stairs and constructed a staircase in the corner of our house, providing us easy access to the second level without the need of dirt blocks. I began laying the foundation for the upper level using oak logs and ventured back into the forest to gather more wood to complete the house, as a lot of wood is needed to complete it. But the next day, I completed the walls on the second floor, leaving spaces for the windows, and then put the sand I gathered a few days earlier into the furnace to smelt into glass, because I forgot before. I then spent the rest of the day outside expanding the wheat farm, as it was all ready for me to harvest it. On day 25, I pushed the boundaries of our wheat farm even further, ensuring we had endless supply of wheat for bread making. I also expanded our carrot farm and, at long last, managed to grow the potato farm. It seems they finally decided to cooperate with me. Next, I aimed to gather more cobblestone to enhance our farmland, so I ventured back underground. But as soon as I made my way down there, I was suddenly encountered by a guest. I get this place look. Sorry. Oh, hey, whoa, you have an enchant. What in the holy. Where did you come from, sir? After defeating the skeleton, I continued my descent into the little mine that we made and collected more cobblestone as much as I could, and returned to the surface just as night had fell. I quickly headed to bed to rest up for another productive day. The next day, I created some cobblestone slabs and walls, along with some diorite slabs to add some texture to our farm walls, instead of just keeping it plain like cobblestone. I also made some lanterns and placed them around the walls to provide light for our crops, deterring any unwanted guests, because we don't want them to stumble all over our crops. With all the slabs and walls created, I enhanced the texture of the wheat farm walls and also improved the walls of the carrot farm, making them look so much better. On day 27, I dedicated the entire day designing the layout of our beetroot farm, but then it unexpectedly began to rain, transforming the day immediately to night, which was quite strange. I went straight to bed to escape the rain, making it the quickest night in this video by far. After a night of rain, a zombie wearing full leather armor approached me, eager for friendship, but however, I was not feeling so sociable. So I decided to erase him from existence instead. I also spotted a creeper lurking in the distance, attempting to conceal itself behind some grass to ambush me probably later to spoil my day, so I quickly eliminated it to ensure that it didn't succeed in that. With those threats dealt with, I returned back to my task, excavating the beetroot farm while laying down some cobblestone walls around the area before calling it for a night and wrapping up my day. On day 29, I set out to prepare the beetroot farm for planting, but unexpectedly encountered a stranger. Good God, you scared the shit out of me. I was so loud in my headset, I can't even talk. Oh my God, why are you glowing, by the way? Why are you glowing? Regeneration. Okay, I'll just not hit you then. After being startled by that spider, I spent the majority of my day expanding the dirt layer for the beetroots. This also included digging out some stone and replacing it with some dirt blocks. I also utilized the cobblestone to raise the wall up surrounding the farm, and by the end of the day, I successfully completed the beetroot area. The next day, I dedicated myself expanding all of the farm, starting with harvesting our carrots, and after taking a moment to appreciate the wheat farm that we had created, I moved on to gather some potatoes and spread them across the farmland. As I headed home at the end of the day, I did spot a wandering villager with his llamas near our wheat farm, which made me a little anxious, not gonna lie, because I was scared that they could potentially damage our crops, but I decided to trust them for the night and went to sleep, hoping that they would just be gone in the morning. On the morning of day 31, I set out on a mission to head back down underground in search of more ores, as our iron supply was rapidly diminishing. Upon entering a huge mine under our house, I encountered a zombie wearing golden armor along with his companion and eliminated them both to continue on to the task at hand. As I ventured deeper into the mine, I lit up the surroundings around me to prevent any monsters from appearing in our mines, so next time that we would return, we would hopefully not have to kill anything. While exploring, I did discover a cluster of dripstone and noticed a descent below it that led me down into the deep slate level, where I unexpectedly found another abandoned mine shaft awaiting me. Shortly thereafter, I explored the abandoned mine shaft, finding something valuable down the hall. Where did that zombie go? We found diamonds! We found diamonds! Please be more than 2. Please be more than 2. Please be more than 2. There's no more than 2. There is. There is. There is. There's. Oh, baby, yes. This is what we need. Oh my god, yes. Look at this. Oh, diamond. Oh, there's. Oh my god, there's so much diamonds. This is what I'm talking about. We get all diamond gear to get many diamonds. And even more diamonds. And just hold on, so lucky. I then did have to fend off against a couple hostile mobs that obscured our path. But I pressed on and found yet more diamonds. As I continued exploring the abandoned mineshaft, though, I looted several minecarts uncovering valuable treasures, including a Power V enchantment book. Power V! Woo! Realizing I collected enough diamonds to craft a complete full set of armor and tools, I decided it was time to return back home, only to find myself completely lost. Eventually, I navigated myself back up to the surface, only to discover that night had fallen, so I decided to run off to bed and get ready for the next day. As soon as I woke up, I crafted every piece of diamond armor and all the set of tools that I needed. I then re-entered the mine to gather up some cobblestone, but on my way back up, something tried to ambush me. Oh my god. Where are these? Oh, I think they're coming from up there. I placed the cobblestone into the furnace and made my way over to the forest to gather some more oak logs before wrapping up my day and calling it a night. On day 34, I filled my iron buckets with water from my main water source next to my house and transported it over to our carrot farm. After harvesting all of the carrots, I expanded it even further, finally completing our carrot farm. Just look at all those carrots. Next, I returned to my small beetroot farm, maximizing its size as much as I could, and then checked on the potatoes, gathering them up so later on I could bake them into some delicious baked potatoes. With the stone that I had smelted in the furnace, I recreated our lava source right next to our house, and once I finished, I stepped inside my home only to be startled by a strange noise. No! Oh 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 no! 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 Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! Oh good god! Oh good god! No! 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 Stop! 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 Oh my god! That was bad. After experiencing several fires from the lava generator onto my house, I chose to dismantle it and just set it up over on the grass a little bit further away from my house until I figure out a permanent location for it. I relocated my furnaces to the spot where the lava generator used to be and also crafted some smokers for some outdoor cooking. To keep the home secure from any unexpected visitors from wandering in, I made some oak doors and placed it on the front door and also the side of the house, ensuring my house was safe. Next, I placed some iron ore into the blast furnace and sand into the regular furnace before heading out to the flatlands with a pair of shears, gathering wool from every sheep I encountered to create some cool carpets for our house. On my return home, I collected some beautiful blue flowers, planning to transform them into some light blue dye for some little carpets to enhance the flooring of our house. I crafted some light blue carpets using the dye for the flowers I gathered, as well as white dye that I got from bone meal that was in my chest, then began laying it down on the floor in our home. With the remaining bone meal I had, I hurried over to our little beetroots, using it all to help mature and expand our farm with new additions. Next, I began laying the groundwork for our villager training hall beside our farms, aiming to gather enchantments for our new diamond gear and tools. I set the foundations down, filling in some dirt holes, chopping down some trees in our forest, collecting a substantial amount of wood to finish the foundations for the following day. On day 37, I progressed with the groundwork for our villager trading hall, positioning the blocks inside the building designated for trading. My goal was to have a few villagers already settled inside so we could acquire some enchantments and construct the building around them at the exact same time, as our tools desperately needed efficiency. However, just as I was constructing their new home, an unexpected thunderstorm just swept in, abruptly cutting the day short. After the thunderstorm had passed, I resumed work on our villager section by elevating the walls, only to discover that I had completely ran out of wood to continue. I then crossed the river by my house, gathering a substantial amount of oak from the forest. With that, I crafted several beds for the villagers, positioned them inside the trading section, and completed the roofing with some planks, finalizing one of the trading areas for our villagers. The next day, I expanded the beet root farm, which has gradually grown larger. I gathered some glass blocks, sheared a bunch of more sheep in the wild for beds, crafted white wool carpets, collected some trap doors, and started building a villager breeder so we could produce more villagers that we needed for our trading hall. These lovebirds are definitely going to need a month or two to recover after I'm finished with them. Next, I laid down the tracks that I stored in the chest from our abandoned mine shafts, placing them from our breeder to the nearest village. Well, almost to the village. I was very close but ran out of rails just before getting there, so I had to run back home, crafted an extra iron pickaxe, and I quickly went to bed knowing I would need to gather some more rails from some mine shafts the next day. On the morning of day 40, I crafted some torches, equipped my iron shield, and ventured back into the big cavern beneath my home, entering the abandoned mine shaft. Eventually, I noticed some tracks and started gathering them up when I was suddenly confronted by some unwelcomed visitors. Oh no, 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 no. I'm good. I don't want what you're Oh, I'm poisoned. Oh no. Oh God, no. Don't do this to me. Don't kill me. Oh man, that was scary. After a brief wait for the poison to subside from my body, I resumed my exploration of the mine shaft, now taking extra precaution to avoid those deadly, horrible spiders. I collected as many tracks as I could find before heading back up to the surface to expand our beet root farm before concluding the day in our comfortable, cozy bed. On day 41, I resumed to the spot where I had left off and resumed laying down the tracks I had gathered from the mine shaft, making my way finally to the village. I then found out that I needed power rails to help the villagers get up steeper hills, prompting me to venture back underground in search of gold ore and redstone. I passed the dripstone cave and re-entered the deep slate mine shaft, knowing that the deeper levels would yield more redstone and gold. I re-entered a large area underground and found some gold ore as well as some diamonds, but then when the game thought things were going a little too easy for me, they decided to spawn in 4 creepers and a bunch of skeletons. Why is there 4 creepers? Why did 4 creepers just spawn there? Are you kidding me? Why is there 100 things spawning in here? Why? Oh my god, why did like 4 creepers just randomly spawn? You are actually joking me right now. What? There's 5 skeletons and then there's an enchanted bow? Why? Another creeper just spawned. What is going on down here? After eliminating the threats and lighting up the area, I gathered as much gold and diamonds as I could reach before making my way back up to the surface, ready to rest for the night so I could finally transport the villagers the next day. After waking up on day 42, I put the gold ore I had gathered from underground into the blast furnace with some iron ore. While they were smelting, I took the opportunity to go expand some more of the beet root farm into the new soil and managed to attract some adorable little chickens that followed me around the farm. I then lured them into the house, pinning them below the stairs as they were way too cute to let go into the wild. Once the ores were finished smelting, I crafted power rails and a few redstone torches before heading back over to the village to install the power rails in their designated spots. I placed the first minecart, gently pushing the villager inside, and sent them off on a journey, making sure I followed him to make sure he didn't get stuck along the way. After safely securing him into the breeder, I returned back to the village and got the next villager set up in the minecart. And as the sun set, I spent the night in the home of the villager I had just kidnapped. After waking up, I pushed the next villager towards my home, making sure that they landed into the breeder properly before removing my dirt barriers around it. I then returned home, gathered some wheat and crafted some bread, and threw it at the villagers to begin their lovemaking. With the remaining daylight that I had, I crafted some hoppers and a chest and a composter, creating an automatic harvester for extra seeds to provide an unlimited supply of bone meal. The next day, I gathered a significant amount of wheat, collecting plenty of seeds to load into our auto harvester, which marked the start of our bone meal export to grow some more crops. After further harvesting, I took some dirt from the chest to expand the land near my house, creating space for some future horse stables, as I envisioned having some pet horses to speed up our travels around the area. I laid down the oak log foundations to keep track of the area, ensuring I wouldn't build anything too close to the foundations. After some time had passed, I checked on our little lovebirds and was surprised to see that they had created 2 babies already as I was away. I then immediately placed some tracks from the breeder over to the trading hall, transporting the villagers into their designated training spots, securing them inside until they were matured adults. On day 45, I utilized some bone meal from our auto harvester to create some white dye, which I then used to craft more light blue carpets for our living room floor. After placing them down, I returned to our beetroot farm to harvest the matured crops and decided to expand the farm a little further. I then came to the conclusion that establishing an iron farm would be beneficial for an unlimited supply of iron, so we didn't have to go down into the dangerous caverns to mine it. I gathered different stones for the construction and started laying out the design while clearing some dirt to create some more space around. Realizing I needed another type of stone, I placed them into the furnace to produce some smooth stone, which I thought would mix with the other materials that I'm going to be using. As the sun began to set, I headed to bed for a restful night, readying myself for the next day. The next day, I went down to the cavern beneath my house to collect a bunch of diorite and then spent some time mining a lot of cobblestone so I could smelt it in the furnace. After mining for a bit, I returned to the surface, took some smooth stone from the furnace, and placed the cobblestone I had collected to be smelted. While it was smelting, I took the opportunity to dig up the dirt area and place some more building blocks for the outline of the iron farm. I continued building until the sun began to set and went to sleep to continue my work on the next day. Once I woke up, now having the iron farm pillars in place, I removed all the boundary blocks and began excavating a wide area where the farm's pillbox and harvesting area will be. I dug down 8 blocks, crafting some ladders and placing them as I dug down further so I could return to the surface way easier. To speed up the process, I crafted myself a diamond pickaxe and continued mining until I reached the necessary level. I then placed 2 double chests where the iron and poppies will travel to and decided to go to sleep to continue my work on the next day. I came to the realization that I needed some more iron to create additional hoppers for the iron farm, so I ventured into my cave in search of iron and coal if I found any. After battling a zombie, I gathered a good amount of iron that I found down in the depths and returned to the surface. I put the iron ore into the blast furnace, crafted several hoppers, and ran back to my iron farm, placing them beside the chest that I had placed and incorporated some redstone as redstone was needed for the farm to function correctly. As the sun began to set, I ran home to rest for the night, ready to resume my work on the following day. It soon dawned on me that I would need quartz to make some redstone comparators to advance my iron farm project, which made me a little anxious. I decided to take a brief pause from the iron farm to seek out mending from a villager, but he was quite uncooperative. Instead, I constructed another section for villagers where I would trade sticks for emeralds. I moved a villager from the breeder to his new location and secured him inside. Then, gathering some wood from the nearby forest, I ran back to my new villager, trading my sticks with him and acquiring some emeralds. As soon as the sun dipped below the hills, I harvested some beetroots from my farm before heading off to bed for the night. After waking up, I headed to our beetroot farm to harvest the crops and expand the land by planting some seeds that I had gathered. I made a couple trips to our water source, applying water to the beetroot farm to help the crops grow even quicker. While waiting for the crops to mature, I visited our smelting area, adding lava to the smoker to cook some potatoes for extra food. To progress on our iron farm, I realized that we needed quartz from the nether, so I ventured northwest to a desert biome that I saw on our map, where I saw that there was a lava pool. Armed with water buckets, I navigated through the desert as the rain and fog was setting in, collected some sugarcane and cactus along the way. I poured water over the lava, transforming it into obsidian, and with my diamond pickaxe, I mined up 10 blocks, and as the darkness fell, I hurried back home, skillfully avoiding a spider and safely returning inside, ready to tackle more tasks on the next day. With the obsidian that I collected, I placed them down, making the shape of the nether portal, and went back to my house and crafted myself some flint and steel and ignited the portal. I took a deep breath and hopped inside the portal, and once I entered the nether dimension, I noticed a bunch of zombie pigmen walking all around me. I was lucky to have noticed a bit of quartz around me and began mining everything that I saw. I then took a brief moment to take a look at the view next to my portal and was in awe of how amazing the view was. Without hesitation, I ran back to the nether portal, returning to the overworld, where I crafted some redstone comparators, and ran back to the iron farm, where I placed them where they needed to be, and also placed some redstone dust with them. I then crafted a composter, a hopper, as well as a crafter, and placed them in their correct positions, and as I noticed the sunlight disappearing, I went back to my house to take a long rest, continue working on the next day. After waking up, I realized I had ran out of wood, prompting me to chop down some trees that were around my iron farm. I also noticed that the potatoes in the smoker were done, so I took them out and stored them in my inventory for later use. To further enhance the iron farm, I crafted several additional items before heading back to the farm to place them correctly. only to realize that the sun had completely set, and I decided to return to bed and sleep until the next day. On day 53, I sprung out of bed and hurried back to the iron farm, where I set down all the hoppers I had crafted on the previous day. To ensure that only iron was directed into the left double chest, I placed an iron ingot into one of the hoppers and blocked off the other slots. I repeated this process with another hopper to guarantee that only poppies from the iron golems would be set into the right chest. To prevent any unwanted spawns in the storage room, I placed down a lantern over the chest and began constructing a garbage bin to eliminate any other random items that may or may not fall into the farm. I installed a dropper above a cauldron, which we would fill with lava to incinerate any other items. I crafted additional redstone devices and arranged them near the dropper, connecting them with redstone dust to ensure that they all work. As the sun dipped below the hills, I ventured down into the mine beneath my house, seeking more iron that we needed to complete the farm. I encountered a large mob-filled room and wisely chose to avoid it, instead confronting a creeper and descending into a lower area where I gathered as much iron as possible. A zombie and his zombie villager companion attempted to challenge me, but were easily defeated. I explored the little area that they were in, collecting a little bit more iron before returning to the surface back to my home. After waking up on day 54, I traveled over to the forest to gather some more oak logs, essential for crafting chests, so I could create more hoppers. Upon returning home, I crafted the hoppers and installed them into the iron farm, where I was starting to develop the kill box area. I excavated a larger space and began constructing a square with some smooth stone. However, I soon realized I needed soul sand campfires, as they damage mobs way quicker, prompting me to jump back into the nether portal to find some soul sand. Upon arrival, I spotted a soul sand valley on the map and carefully built a narrow bridge to reach over to where it was, but was immediately confronted by a ghast that was not happy to see me. God. Yeah! Suck it, you ghast. That's what you get for messing with me. After a successful battle, I collected a good amount of soul sand, along with some bone blocks, which would be useful for completing our crop farms. Satisfied with my haul, I returned through the portal, returning to the overworld, where I went to bed. As the sun rose over the hills, I ventured back into the forest to gather more oak logs and crafted the necessary campfires, positioning them inside the kill box to incinerate any iron golems, which does sound really horrible now that I say that out loud. I built the top of the kill box with slabs and filled in a large hole in the ground with dirt to prevent any accidental falls, because we don't want to fall in there and die. Taking advantage of the remaining daylight, I crossed the river and harvested as many oak logs as possible, as it was now time to construct the building that was going to be above the iron farm. I laid down the oak logs as the foundation for the iron farm building, connecting them all together before shaving them all down for a better look. I then crafted oak stairs and trapdoors to enhance the building's detail. I then completed the ceiling with smooth stone slabs, completing the lower section of the iron farm. For the second level, designated as the iron golem spawning area, I placed down more oak log foundations to a height of 5, and just as the sun began to set, I harvested some more wood from the nearby tree to finish off one of the foundations and decided to call it a night. On day 57, I ventured across the river once more to set to work gathering a large amount of wood for the iron farm. Upon returning back, I gathered over 3 stacks of oak logs and proceeded to continue connecting all the foundations on the second floor. I shaved them all down, mirroring the bottom floor with oak stairs and trapdoors. As I worked hard on the second floor, the sun dipped below the hills really fast, casting a beautiful glow across our land. And as I continued to enhance the texture, even as night fell, suddenly I was ambushed by a zombie, prompting me to return to bed to avoid any unwanted encounters with any more mobs. On day 58, I traveled back to the forest with my shears to gather some oak leaves off of the trees, which I then used to construct the walls of the farm's second floor and top them off with some smooth stone slabs to ensure that the iron golems could not escape their death, which again sounds really bad. I also covered the ceiling with smooth stone slabs, replicating the design of the ground floor. After a brief pause to harvest some beetroots and enlarge their patch, I worked hard on the farm until sunset, finishing up the seeds that I had until the night fell. I expanded the potato farm in the dark before returning home and resting for the night. The following day, I descended into the caverns below my home with my shears, gathering as much glow lichen as possible for our iron farm. Upon emerging from the mine, I found it was raining, so I ran over to the iron farm to position the lichen correctly and place down the water so the iron golems would flow through the farm down to their depths. Again, I feel so bad. After completing this task, I headed home to rest as it was dark, ready to resume my work on the next day. Using the oak logs I had left, I started constructing the third level of our iron farm, intended for the villagers and the zombie that would activate the iron golems to spawn. I linked the foundations and shaved the wood to match the other levels, but as soon as I ran out of materials, I crossed the river gathering more oak logs, also catching some fish for some additional food. I laid down some stone bricks for the first layer of our wall, completing the rest of our walls with oak logs and planks, leaving small openings for windows to be placed. I retrieved some glass panes that I had crafted earlier and fitted them into the gaps of our iron farm. As the sun began to set, I hurried back to the nether to gather some more soul sand, needing just one block for our farm. I ventured into the soul sand area, dug some up, also gathered some more bone blocks while also battling a skeleton that attacked me. Upon returning home, though, I placed the soul sand block, surrounded the area with glass, preparing the trap area for our zombie. I attempted to lure a zombie across the river, but he started spinning like a lunatic and just drowned himself. Like, okay. I tried again and successfully attracted the zombie to the farm, but he also brought a friend along with him, and I had to deal with him before guiding the zombie up the dirt path into the trap room. As dawn broke, I really struggled getting the zombie into the trap, and he incinerated in the sunlight, making me realize that this task was going to be a little more challenging than I anticipated. I ventured into the flatlands to gather more wool from sheep, while also collecting some pork chops from the pigs that I had found as well. I crafted beds and placed them into the iron farm where the villagers would stand to ensure that the farm operates efficiently. Afterward, I returned to the flatlands to gather more additional wool, as I needed carpets to cover the entire floor of the second level of the iron farm, preventing anything from spawning inside where the zombie was, killing it. As night fell, I spotted a zombie near the trading hall and cleverly lured him up into the farm, guiding him through the pathway, and this time using a fishing rod to pull him towards me, successfully dropping him into the trap. I then named our zombie companion Bob with a name tag, but was suddenly ambushed by Bob's friends, eager to rescue him. I fought off all of our attackers before finally returning home to rest for the night, feeling accomplished that this phase of the project was complete. On day 62, I rose early to start harvesting our wheat farm, replanting its soil, and setting the excess seeds into our auto harvester for bone meal. With the harvested wheat, I baked some bread and threw it at our breeders, signaling that it was time to resume their baby making. I constructed a dirt path from the roof of our iron farm all the way to our breeder, as we needed to transport at least 3 villagers into the trap room of our iron farm. I spent the day dismantling the tracks I had laid out previously that connected all the way to our village, working until sunset, and finally retiring for the day. The following day, I started laying down tracks along our dirt path I had created, stretching from the breeder to the iron farm. While waiting for our villagers to produce, I took the opportunity to chop down some more trees in the nearby forest and began constructing the walls for our trading section of the trading hall. I also placed some oak logs to enhance our resource trading area, allowing us to exchange our crops that we grow for continuous supply of emeralds. For the rest of the day, I harvested some more wheat from our crops, tossing the extra seeds into our harvester before heading to bed. On day 64, I successfully transported our first villager from our breeder to the iron farm using a minecart, followed closely by a second villager and also a third villager, but this one was a baby. While I patiently waited for the baby villager to grow into adulthood, I took the opportunity to clear away the floating dirt in the sky and dismantling the tracks. As the sun set, I dedicated my time collecting all the items that had fallen from the sky into our crops before running off to bed, continuing our work on the next day. I visited a little villager friend, noticing that he had not fully matured yet. While the other villagers were being kind of unkind to him, trying to push him away like he was an outcast, to protect it, I surrounded them with dirt until the baby grew up. To pass the time, I started designing a more appealing stone and wood structure for our nether portals so it doesn't look so boring. I constructed some stone pillars using stone bricks and cobblestone, with also adding some shaped oak logs and planks for a support look. To enhance the texture, I incorporated wooden fences, some trap doors, and some signs, adding a little bit of detail to the design. I believe it looks a little good, though I might refine it a little bit later. I returned home to sleep, hoping our little villager would return soon so we could activate this iron farm. The following day, I removed the unnecessary dirt staircase that led all the way up to our iron farm, as it was going to be no longer required once the farm was activated. I started reshaping the terrain from the iron farm to our house in preparation for a dirt path that would lay out around our crops, creating a circular route around our base. After that, I checked on our villagers in the iron farm and noticed that our baby villager had finally grown up. Suddenly, I realized it was dark outside after seeing the villagers, which seemed to come out of nowhere, so I hurried off the bed to bring back the sunlight to continue working. On day 67, I noticed that an iron golem had finally spawned, but he was outside the iron farm. This led me to consider that the spawning issue might be related to the ground being a solid block instead of a slab. To hopefully fix this, I ventured into the forest to gather some oak logs, crafting oak slabs, and place them beneath the iron farm, as entities cannot spawn on slabs. This should encourage the iron golems to spawn within the farm where the water flows, allowing us to get the farm operational. I then discovered an empty space under the farm where I believe some redstone dust was supposed to be. prompted me to explore the underground in search of some redstone. During my adventure underground, I was attacked by a skeleton and a creeper, which brought my health lower than I was comfortable with. And after getting rid of that threat, I was attacked by another skeleton, but I erased it from the timeline, so don't worry. Continuing deeper into our mine, I extracted some coal ore, faced off against 3 zombies at the same time, one of which was wearing full golden armor, trying to look cool in front of his friends, I don't know. I also mined some iron ore, fought off against another zombie, collected more coal before descending into the deep slate level, where I finally found the redstone that I was looking for. After gathering all the stuff that I collected, I made my way back up to the surface and hurried off to bed, ready to start the next day. After waking up, I immediately placed the iron ore I discovered in the caves into the blast furnace to smelt it. Next, I crafted several chests and started setting them up upstairs in my home to start organizing my items in their proper categories. I know I am really late to this. I nicely sorted my chest by categories such as wood, stone, and dirt, ensuring that all my belongings were in their designated places before dismantling the chest downstairs, finally achieving a well-organized inventory. I then made my way to the iron farm and noticed an iron golem was on the roof. We were on the right track, although it still needed some improvements. I ventured beneath the iron farm into the storage area where I placed the redstone I had gathered, hoping that would enable the farm to function properly. I used the leftover slabs to cover the roof of the iron farm, aiming to stop the golems from spawning on top of the farm, hoping that they would just spawn where they're supposed to be. After that, I dedicated the rest of the day chopping down some oak logs in the forest across the river, collecting over 4 stacks before making my way back home in the dark because it was raining and I just wanted to go to bed. On day 70, I ran over to the trading hall, trading in all of the sticks I had collected from the oak logs. In return, I got some emeralds, making my relationship with the villagers even stronger so we could get even better deals in the future. I then ran across the flatlands, shearing sheep's wool in order to craft up some more beds, placing them down in the trading hall. After placing all the beds for future villagers, I crafted myself a composter and transported the next villager from the breeder into their new slot in the trading hall. After securing him inside, I placed down the composter, turning the villager into a farmer so we could trade all of our wheat from our crop farm for more emeralds. Upon waking up among the villagers in the trading hall, I interacted with one of the villagers who I think spoke to a creeper to pull a prank on me. Rolls, that's perfect. Oh! Oh my god! After slowing down my heart rate, I harvested up some more wheat from the crop farm, returning to the trading hall, trading in the wheat in return for some shiny green emeralds, now able to gain from our crops and from sticks. I then proceeded to push another villager across the tracks into their new slot in the trading hall, placing a second composter down to turn them into a farmer as well. The villager wanted potatoes, which was perfect because we had a ton of them. I immediately ran over to our potato farm, harvesting up some before returning back to return in for some emeralds. For the rest of the day, I proceeded to harvest a ton of our wheat crops, replacing them back into the soil, and went down to the second level of our wheat farm, harvesting everything until the sun went out. Upon waking up on day 72, I ran out of my house to return to the trading hall when I stumbled across 2 creepers taking notice of me. I killed the first one very easily, but upon battling the second one, it blew up, taking my health down to a single heart. Finally and safely returning to the trading hall, I traded in my emeralds that I had collected, finally getting one of the villagers to give me a good deal of emeralds and a book for mending. I finally ran back to my home to get the books, returned back to the trading hall, giving everything to the villager, and finally obtaining mending. I tried getting another good enchantment from another villager, but he was not in the mood and sometimes refused to even become a librarian for me, so I just gave up on him and gave him some space. Once I returned home, I placed my diamond sword and the book of mending into my anvil, now obtaining my first enchantment item in the world. For the remaining time I had left for the day, I used my shovel to extend the main path between the farms until my shovel broke and I decided just to go to bed. On day 73, I pushed another iron golem off the roof of our iron farm. I came up with the idea of placing string down to prevent any more spawning on top of the iron farm. I then made my way back down underground, entering the abandoned mine shaft, where I proceeded to collect as much cobwebs as I possibly could before heading back up to the surface. I placed the string down on the roof of our iron farm, hopefully preventing the iron golems from spawning on top of the farm. As the sun went down, I used the remaining torches in my inventory to light up the area around my base to ensure no more mobs would spawn. The next day, I crafted up some more bread, throwing it at our villager breeders to continue their baby making, and transported the next villager from the breeder into their new slot in the trading hall, blocking them off from danger. Upon trying again to get a new enchantment, I finally got Efficiency 4, which I decided to take the deal as I could still get Efficiency 4 from this book. And I just really needed some form of efficiency for my tools, and 4 is just as good as 5. I then began raising up the walls of their trading hall, starting with oak log foundations, raising them up high, and I then proceeded to continue them all with oak planks, giving the building a nice 3D look with the foundation sticking out just a bit from the planks. I then designed the roof, getting both sides to touch in the middle, and I would return once the rest of the building was done to do the roof in with stone, eventually matching our iron farm and our house. As the sun began to lower over the hills, I filled up some buckets with water, extending and finishing off our potato farm, where I eventually was jump scared. Oh my god! Oh my god, I think I just had a heart attack. After calming myself down, a zombie wearing full leather armor tried to attack me, as well as another zombie which I was trying to plant down some more beetroots. I was then attacked again, causing me to just give up and go to bed to prevent any more mobs from attacking me while farming. On day 75, I ran over to the other forest near my house and spent the entire day chopping down as much wood as I could, and after obtaining the wood, I ran over to the trading hall as the sun began to set, began working on the walls to the trading hall, and almost managed to get the left wall complete before completely running out of wood. So I ran off to bed to gather more wood on the next day. Once I woke up, I immediately ran over to the forest, chopping down more wood to complete the trading hall walls. And just like the previous day, upon returning back to the trading hall, the sun was setting. I worked hard building up the walls and eventually completed all sides of the trading hall in through the night and decided to go to bed, finally completing the walls. On day 77, I replanted a ton of saplings that I gathered from chopping down wood and placed them all down across from our house to make a larger forest. I then proceeded to harvest our wheat and our farm and traded it in at the trading hall for some more emeralds. I got hold of 2 books of mending and used the anvil in my home, placing in my diamond pick as well as efficiency 4, and applied the other book of mending to my diamond axe. After enchanting my tools, I harvested up some more potatoes, replanting them back in the soil, crafted myself another lectern, and upon returning to the trading hall, I traded in the potatoes I had gathered for more emeralds. I also tried getting another librarian, but the villager was being very stubborn and didn't even want to cooperate with me. But finally, he caved in and gave me sharpness 5, so I immediately ran back to my crops, gathered some more materials to trade for emeralds, and got my hands on sharpness B, because it was essential for my sword. I placed sharpness 5 in the anvil along with my diamond sword and went to bed successfully upgrading our diamond sword. The next day, I harvested up some beetroots and replanted them, trading them in for some emeralds, and got another 2 books of mending, as I wanted to be able to start wearing my diamond armor that we crafted a few days ago. In the anvil, I applied mending to my diamond boots, as well as my diamond pants, taking off the iron ones as they were no longer necessary. I then harvested up some more wheat, getting as much as I could so we could get a ton more emeralds, and with the leftover seeds I had collected, I threw them all into the auto harvester before heading back to the trading hall, obtaining over 16 emeralds. I grabbed 1 book of mending, placing it upon a diamond chestplate, leaving only the diamond helmet to be last. Allowing some time to pass so my villagers could stock up with emeralds, I placed down foundations to the cavern below my house. I knew with the time that we had left, I would not be able to get the underground cave design that I wanted to build, but an entrance would be a good start. I extended the dirt out as well around my house to make the landscape look a little bit better around the house before retiring for the day, continuing my work on the next day. Upon waking up, I grabbed some dirt from the chest and continued working on the dirt area around my house that I was doing last night. I then began digging out the land near the cave entrance so I could make a bigger cow pen for the cows. I also made a little shelter inside their little pen, which I knew wasn't the best, but I could always tweak it later. I got rid of where the horse stables were originally going to be to design a little bit of a pig pen to put there instead. After making a little bit of a pig pen, I lured the pigs down into their new little home, locking them inside with a gate. I began to terraform the area around the front of the house to make the pathway look a little bit better that would travel from the front door down to our path. I then extended the path from our crops all the way around to our cow pen when it suddenly began to storm. I traded in some more wheat in for emeralds at their trading hall, getting another book of mending where I finally applied it to my diamond helmet, now wearing a full diamond armor set. As the rain continued to pour, I dug out the land below the carrot farm and filled in some dirt holes in front of the trading hall and cleared up some grass, finally connecting the path from the trading hall leading up to the house. With the small amount of sanity that still remained inside of me from the rain, I cleared some dirt near the villager breeder before just going to bed as the rain was just getting annoying. The following day, I continued the path down the crops, extending the dirt area out in front of the crop area where the paths will then connect eventually. I then traveled down to the river where I collected some sand and began placing them down near our iron farm because I wanted to create a sugarcane farm. I outlined the farm with cobblestone as I wanted all of our crops to have the same stone wall. I placed some sand, dug up some holes, and using some water buckets, I placed down some water so then the sugarcane would grow and continued until the sun finally set below the hills. On day 82, I had the idea of creating a cave spider XP farm, as we would need to be able to heal our tools since we had mending. I knew it wasn't the best XP farm that I could create, but it would work for the meantime. I collected some buckets of milk from our cows in case we got poisoned, which I was actually surprised I remembered was a thing in Minecraft. I collected a bunch of wheat from our wheat farm, trading it in for some more emeralds, where I obtained another book of mending, applying it to a diamond shovel. I adventured down into the caverns below my house, entering the abandoned mine shaft, encountering a creeper and a zombie that wanted to say hi, and finally found a spider spawner. I was actually lucky that no spiders were spawning before putting torches on the spawner. I then cleared out the cobwebs and mined out the area around the spawner, making the area large for spiders to spawn. I extended the farm out towards where the entrance will then be, so then the water would just push the spiders towards me. I then placed some slabs where the kill box will be, not knowing that this would just end up biting me in the butt and causing this whole entire farm to be not efficient. You see, cave spiders can naturally crawl between slabs. I didn't know you also needed trap doors to make this thing work. So this would soon bite me in the butt. I also placed slabs above where I would kill them, so most of the spiders just kind of crawled up the wall and got stuck on the ceiling. So half of the spiders were just not there. So I ended up really screwing up this farm. I placed down the water, got rid of the torches, and allowed the spiders to spawn, and well, this is what happened. Oh my god. Okay, well, yeah, it works. I nearly died. Oh my god. I ran back up to the surface to obtain some more buckets of milk to ensure I could cure myself if I got poisoned from the spiders. I cleared out the spiders that crawled out of the entrance and entered the kill area, only for more to come through and attack me. I got out and ate some food, ready to re-enter the area to fix the issue. I finally re-entered the area again, trying hard to fix the issue, but I got attacked once more, bringing me down to half a heart from the poison. This made my palms sweat, and I could feel my heart pumping hard through my throat. I was terrified. After allowing my hearts to regen and my breathing to get back to normal, I went back up to the surface and gathered some more milk, and finally got back down to the spiders, placing all the trapdoors that were essential so the spiders couldn't attack me anymore. But then I realized that this farm just did not work the greatest because the spiders, well, half of them were on the ceiling and half of them came at me, and it really just didn't do anything for healing my tools. So if only I did this right. The next day I harvested up some potatoes and traded them in for some more emeralds, and harvested up some wheat as well, replanting them and throwing the excess seeds all into the auto harvester. After trading in more wheat as well as potatoes, I finally got another efficiency 4 and applied it to my diamond axe, as we could now chop wood way quicker. I adventured out into the forest that we grew across from our house, obtaining a ton of oak logs where I crafted oak trap doors, as well as some oak stairs to add some detail to the entrance wall of our trading hall. On day 85, I collected lava to place into the furnace to smelt some cobblestone. I found some stone bricks that I was going to turn into stairs to use for all of our building's roofs to make everything match. I then began placing the stairs onto our trading hall, starting off the roof, and after I ran out of stairs, I built the foundations to the cave entrance, finally making a wooden box, which we would roof eventually as well. I then harvested up some potatoes, replanting the soil, and only was able to trade in half the potato supply before my farmer said that they were completely out of emeralds. So I stored them in a chest near the farm for next time and harvested up some beetroots instead while fighting off a zombie that tried to attack me. The next day I ran to the villagers in the trading hall, trading in my beetroots for emeralds, and crafted myself another lectern as I wanted to try getting more villagers for our trading hall. Using a minecart, I pushed another villager into their new slot in the trading hall, and after trying to get Unbreaking free, the villager decided that, hey, I'll give you Fire Aspect 2 for 24 emeralds. And I gladly accepted that. I ran back to my house, applying it to my diamond sword, now granting me the power to cook meat from killing animals. I am so sorry. The farmer in my trading hall finally stocked up with emeralds, so I threw all my potatoes at him, obtaining all those beautiful green emeralds. And as the sun began to set, I built another material trading slot for another villager and pushed them inside their new home, blocking them off with a composter, finally getting a villager that wanted carrots. The next day, I received all of the smelted stone from the furnaces, crafted it into more stone brick stairs to continue the roof of our trading hall. After working on the roof for a while, I completely ran out of stone brick stairs, and I adventured out into the forest with my diamond axe, chopping down more oak logs. Using the wood that I just collected, I finished off the outside walls of the trading hall and made some slots for future windows, using some trapdoors to add some detail to the front walls of our trading hall to give it a nice little look. And it's looking good. As the sun began to set, I finished off the remaining detail on the trading hall before heading off to bed. Using some wood, I wanted to begin doing a little bit of interior design inside of my house, as it would start to look just kind of empty in there. I blocked out one of the windows near the stairs on the second level and placed some barrels on the wall with some stairs and trap doors. Kind of looked like the barrels were on top of a floating shelf. I then put down some dirt, covering up with some trap doors, adding some wood logs to either side to make it look like the floating shelves were attached to them. I then placed in a cauldron and 2 brewing stands to make this little area look like a brewing area. I finished off the look with some chests on top of the barrels for some more storage, and it looked really good. I wanted to do something similar with the opposite side of the room, so I placed down some oak logs, placed some crafting tables and a smithing table. I then placed 2 looms with some dirt and trap doors to make everything look like it was like a long counter. I added some flowers to the dirt, built some floating shelves on the wall, and this area was starting to look really good and the room didn't look so empty anymore. I also wanted to make a stone outline upstairs around the carpet to make it pop more. So I chopped down the outline, placing some smooth stone with a mixture of stone bricks. And with that mixture of stone bricks, everything was actually looking really good up there. The next day, I took my anvil from downstairs and replaced it onto one of the floating shelves upstairs for easier use. I then rushed off into the flatlands with my shears to shear off some more sheep wool to make more carpets for our second floor. I crafted more light blue carpets, placing them down on the floor. And after running out of carpets, I returned to the trading hall trying to get a break-in 3 again for one of our villagers, but they were still, for some reason, hated me and refused to give me anything useful. As the night approached, I went back down into the caverns below, gathering some more cobblestone to have smelted so we could continue working on all of our roofs. And upon returning to the surface, the sun was actually rising over the hills, so we spent the entire night mining cobblestone. So, on day 90, I placed lava into the furnaces to smelt our stone, and even crafted some more furnaces so we could speed up the smelting process. I journeyed out to the woods, chopping down tons of wood where I crafted some more chests that I used to craft hoppers to place on top of chests outside, so that when things were smelted, they would just drop down to a chest instead of me having to just grab it out of the furnace. As I needed a lot more lava to allow these things to smelt, I had ventured out into the wilderness in search of a big pool of lava to obtain a ton of lava buckets. I crafted a boat crossing a large lake and continued on foot in search for some lava. I entered a new village, gathering up some of their materials, killing some animals along the way through the wild to gather some more food as well. I finally found a pool of lava and obtained a ton of buckets full before the sun began to set, where I killed more animals, and that led me all the way to a new village where I spent the night, as it was way safer than returning home in the night with a bunch of mobs everywhere. Once the sun was up, I traveled up a large hill next to the village where it seemed like a single villager was exiled from the others. I don't know what he did, but I noticed that he had nothing interesting for me. So I made my way safely back down the hill, heading towards home. On my way back home, though, I killed as much animals as I could, gathering up some more food as well as wool for some sheep, and boated my butt back across the lake, where I finally made it back home, placing the lava into the furnaces to smelt our cobble. As that smelted, I took the time to harvest up some more of our carrots from our farm, replanting them back down to continue their growth, and proceeded to harvest our potato farm as well to stock up on crops so we could trade for more emeralds. After farming, I entered our trading hall, trading in all of our crops, stocking up on some beautiful, beautiful emeralds. As the sun began to set, though, I wanted to clear out the dirt near our potato farm, as I did not want the land higher than our potato farm. I didn't want mobs kind of just like overflowing down into our crops, destroying everything. After clearing out that dirt, though, I then began to place the dirt that I collected near the iron farm, as the land just kind of dropped down a few blocks. I eventually wanted the path to come through there, so I used the dirt that I collected to fill in that area. A zombie, though, did try to attack me, but I killed him quickly and continued placing more dirt, where another zombie tried attacking me, so I got rid of him, continued placing down my dirt. I then carved the path into the dirt, extending it all the way around to the beginning of our crops, so then we kind of have a little bit of a circle going here with our path. After obtaining the stone out of the furnaces, I crafted up some more stone bricks and continued my hard work on the roof of the trading hall, finally finishing off one of the sides. I know I wasn't going to have enough time to get all the detail that I wanted into the roofs of all of our buildings, but if you all want to see me do another 100 days, I would have the idea to implement different stones that would match with stone brick to give the roofs more texture. I then began working on the other side of the trading hall roof before completely running out of materials. I then decided to travel back down underground, mining up as much cobblestone as I could, and placing it all back into the furnaces to smelt again. As that all started to smelt, I took the time to finish off the walls to all of our crops with adding diorite blocks, slabs, as well as cobblestone walls and slabs, and even also adding the lanterns to light up the area, finally finishing off the walls to all of our crops. As I finally finished, though, the sun began to rise over the hills. I then crafted up some stone bricks from the stone that it was smelted from the furnaces, finally finishing up the roof to the trading hall. I then immediately began working on the roof to our house, noticing the strange shape that our house was, but worked with what we had. I worked into the night adding stone bricks, trying to make the roof work with the shape that the house was, and as soon as I ran out of stone bricks, I ran out the front door, turned around to take a look at the house. It wasn't perfect, but it's something that we could eventually work with. I began shaving all the logs around my house, and before finishing off the night, I dyed some more wool that I had collected from killing the sheep the other day, and placed more carpet down on our second floor before going to bed. On day 94, as the sun rose over the hills, I had ventured out into the flatlands, gathering some more sand from the nearby river, and quickly placed it into the furnaces to smelt. As it smelted, I ran over to the trading hall, trading in our carrots with my farmer for some more emeralds. I ran down into the caverns below to mine a ton of more cobblestone so we could finish off our house and get working on the iron farm roof as well, as I wanted that done before day 100. Once I returned to the surface, I placed all the cobblestone I had collected into the furnaces to smelt, but I needed a lot more lava. So I ran over to a nearby lava source I saw on the map, only for it to be a single source of lava, which was disappointing. But I ran over the hill to a previously visited village where they had a nice pool of lava that I had collected. As the night fell, I quickly made my way through the forest, making a very risky jump into the shallow water before making my way back home, placing all the lava into the furnace. The next day, I went underground to continue mining up some more cobblestone to be smelted, and upon returning up to the surface, I walked right into an ugly thunderstorm. I placed more cobblestone I collected into the furnace and crafted more stone brick stairs, risking my life continuing the roofing on my house in the rain. It suddenly got very, very dark as the rain was very, very loud, and then a loud roar of thunder actually scared me, so I kind of just climbed back down and just went to bed to sleep away the storm. On day 96, I woke up to continue the roof work of our house. I incorporated some stone brick in with the stairs to make it look a little bit unique. I don't know. We'll see how the house looks. I'm not sure if I 100% like the roof, but we will work with it in the meantime. I continued placing some more stone brick stairs, popping out the roof to give it some more depth, and the sun had finally set over the hills as it got dark really quick, but I wanted to complete the iron farm roof as well before the day was over. I made my way over to the iron farm, and it was very tricky doing the roof, since the top of the iron farm was already made of slabs, but I finally made it did work, making the iron farm roof and the iron golems continue to work correctly, which that's a bonus. The next day, I crafted some oak trapdoors and began adding some floating flower beds outside of all of my windows to give it some more detail to our house, so it doesn't just look so plain. I duplicated the same design across all windows around my house and even added 2 new windows on either side of my bed so that one wall didn't just look so blank. I then spent some good time underground mining up some more cobblestone, and once returning up to the surface, the sun was beginning to set again. Man, these last couple days are just flying so fast. I matched our Sugar King farm with diorite blocks just as a zombie tried to attack me. I then incorporated the cobblestone walls and slabs as another zombie tried to attack me. Finally, the Sugar King farm looked just like our other crops, but they needed one last thing, and that was some lanterns. I made some lanterns, and just as I walked outside to add them to the farm, I saw a fully armed skeleton and a ton of other spiders spawn, so I decided I was going to go to bed and just deal with this in the morning. Once I woke up, I fought against that leathered armored skeleton, not having to deal with the spiders now, and placed all the lanterns around the Sugar King farm to make sure the whole area was nice and lit. After completing that, I continued the path near the iron farm, going up past the Sugar King farm, connecting it all the way to the path that led down all the way to our crops. I crafted up some stone brick walls and replaced all of our cow and pig pens, as I thought the walls would just look a lot better than oak fences. I knew I wanted to do a lot more with their pens, but knowing that we only had a day or two left, I knew I wouldn't have a lot of time, so this is just what we're going to deal with for now. Once it was nighttime, I went back underground to mine up some more cobblestone, and upon returning back up to the surface, I placed all the cobble into the furnace to smelt and dismantled our lava generator, as if we do another 100 days on this world, I will design an entire building for lava, or better yet, create an auto-harvesting kelp supply above the furnaces. We have unlimited supply of fuel. Now with the generator gone, I made a path linking from the nether portal to our main pathway that circled around our entire base. I added some lanterns to the pig pen and battled it out with a zombie, adding the remaining lanterns to the carrot farm, replacing the torches there, as I swore we had lanterns there before. On day 99, I ventured out into the flatlands, getting attacked by a fully golden armored skeleton, and collected as much wood as I could from our forest. I turned all the wood I had collected into planks, replacing the dirt that was inside of our trading hall with oak planks. If we had spruce, I would have preferred using that, but all of these 100 days, I just never did explore out and find a spruce forest. After running completely out of wood, I grabbed some more stone brick stairs and began matching our roof on our cave entrance. As the sun dipped over the hills, though, day 99 was sadly coming to an end as I finished off the roof to that cave entrance. I then wanted to begin adding some bushes around our pathway. So if we did do another 100 days on this world, I would add some more bushes, hay barrels, and barrels, just adding some detail to our pathways. I even added some bushes around the cave entrance to make it look like the entrance was kind of overgrown by nature. A zombie then came to try and stop me from placing all the bushes, but I easily just slayed him and got rid of him, and continued adding some hay blocks around for some decor before ending the night and resting in my bed, successfully surviving 100 days in hardcore Minecraft for the very first time. Even though this might not have been the most craziest 100 days video, and I might not have gotten as much done as I probably should have, I still am very proud of myself for what we did and got accomplished in this. This was my first time ever playing hardcore Minecraft, and I think I did a really good job for my first time. We were able to build crops, so we've never run out of food. We built a fully working villager trading hall, which is full of stubborn villagers, but hey, they're all right. We built an iron farm, which we did struggle with, but it did sort of work in the end. Might have messed up with the placement of the hoppers, but hey, failure is a great teacher, and you only learn from your mistakes. We'll master this one day. I know we will. We achieved getting diamonds and got a full set of diamond gear, which was awesome. And we fought off mobs that tried even to attack us. I think I did really good for my first time in hardcore Minecraft. Of course, if we got to do another 100 days on this world, we would upgrade literally everything. My goals would be to fill up the trading hall with all the useful enchantments, more crops to the land, make a lava source building, or even, building an automatic furnace smelter with growing kelp, maybe even exploring out and finding spruce, or even searching for netherite so we can upgrade our gear, which would mean that we would have to go into the nether and battle pigmen in the bastions, which would be very risky, probably very entertaining. Anyway, without making this video any longer than it already is, it would mean the world to me if you guys could click that like button and consider subscribing and turning on bell notifications. This took me over 46 days to complete, which is crazy. I also had to balance out a full-time job as well as streaming on my Twitch, so I could only record and edit within a certain amount of hours in those days. I had to edit with over 22 hours of footage and compiled it down into whatever length this video will end up being after I'm done editing it. So it would mean a lot to me if you guys hit that like button and consider becoming a subscriber. Anyway, thank you guys all so much for taking your time to watch this video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. I'm currently getting ready to film my next video for you guys. I cannot wait to continue pumping out these 100-day videos for you guys. I have some great ideas planned, so thank you guys all again so much for watching. And like always, I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.